Yeah, that's
All right, man.
crazy.
Transition to the big thing yesterday. We all kind of knew it was coming. I'm gonna miss him, but Dan Mullen.
Nobody knew that was coming.
Yeah, we did. You know it was coming? I thought he was gonna get another. I mean, he fired the anyway. So Dan Mullen gets fired. We can get into that from Florida. Um, he fired Grantham a couple of weeks ago, and the D line coach. So that has all the big jobs: USC, LSU, Florida, Washington State, TCU. Who else? I think Troy. So it's going to be a crazy offseason.
Did you say Troy? That's a big coaching job, Troy.
It just came out, so that's why I announced it. I mean, it could be, they might take some assistant coaches. I'll tell you what,
if Troy is competing for the same head coach as Florida, Florida's in worse position than we all thought.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what's your thoughts? You think it was a little premature? Or you give him another year? Who are you going to get? Or
I think it depends on how you look at it. To me, it really came down to the fact that Florida has not really, according to the rankings, they haven't recruited well. I actually think Dan Mullen's done a little bit better than they give him credit for. Even when he was at Michigan or Mississippi State, he was always great at finding diamond in the rough guys like your Dak Prescott's and, like Trax last year, the quarterback. Also, like the tight end, what's it, Richardson or whatever the hell his name is, Pitts? I'm sorry, I don't want to call him
Pitts for Falcons. Yep.
Davius Tony. I mean, those guys weren't exactly highly recruited, and he got him first round. He got a couple first rounders there. Their defensive line's relatively, respectable. It's just, they're not. I mean, they're talented. They're just not like well coached. You can tell. Yeah. So to me, I think it was really coming down to I think it really came down to recruiting because they're dead last in the SEC. Which if you're behind Vanderbilt in recruiting, that's a problem.
Yep.
And so, I think that was the decision that was made. I mean, time will tell. To me, it was a little bit premature in that the guy can win football games, and he's really, he won the East without a semblance of a defense last year. Granted, we had some injuries and things like that going on, but to me, it may have been a little bit too drastic at this point, especially with some of the other jobs out there. Not that Florida's not a great job, but just, you got USC, you've got LSU. I mean, there's a lot of, jobs out there that are high caliber. He probably would have been better off, like I said, Trey, getting a good defensive coordinator and just increasing the quality of the coaches that can recruit on your staff. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, it's more of an old. I mean, it's not like the head coach is really doing the day in, day out recruiting. It's always the assistants for the most part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll give you my two thoughts on this. And ready for this, I have a hot take that is based on no knowledge whatsoever. Okay, so I should be able to fit in most of the SEC fans. Ready for this? Here is a hire that would be great. That I don't know, man. He could surprise. Nobody thought the Mac Brown was going to come out and go to North Carolina. Ready for my who would go to Florida? Bob Stoops.
Yeah. No.
He's
not even on the list.
Well, was Mac Brown on the list in North Carolina? I'm just talking out. I mean, look, all but fucking guarantee it won't happen.
Mac Brown was pretty much the guy they were looking at and in talks with.
Here's what I'm saying from a Florida standpoint. Here's the Dan Mullen era. He when he was at Mississippi State, he said he didn't want to go there because it'd be a lateral move. And they had some ice cream store there in Stark Vegas that they named after him, and then they named him the lateral move. Well, dude, now you're at Florida, and definitely a better program than Mississippi State. But, the knock on him is that he didn't like to recruit. Okay, not that he couldn't recruit, not that he could not develop great players. He just didn't like to recruit. Well, that's that is we're seeing that right now. But the other thing I'll say about him from a coaching standpoint is if he's below Vanderbilt right now, is that because of Florida's high standards, as you're talking about with Michigan and everything? I don't think so. The thing, too, is with all these other positions that are out there, I mean, you got to find the right guy. Who is that stud? I mean, maybe there's some offensive, defensive coordinator that would fit very well, into the Florida scheme. But, I mean, you don't have an Urban Meyer guy out there. I don't think Matt Campbell's going to go down to Florida. I think Matt Campbell is going to stay, in the Midwest. I don't think Luke Fickell's going to go down to Florida. I don't think that's a good fit either.
I could fix this problem for Florida in 30 seconds. Here's how you fix your talent problem. You bring Bill Muschamp in as DC. That guy can recruit. He's then going to bring in Tavares Robinson, who was his DC at South Carolina, who can also recruit and is currently at Miami, which is a sinking ship. You then bring in his offensive coordinator, which really doesn't matter because Mullen calls his own plays, James Coley, who is an elite recruiter in the state of Florida as well. And then you're basically going to build a wall around the state of Florida, and you're back pretty quick.
Well, I don't disagree with any of that. I don't disagree with any of that. And, you see how fast Urban Meyer brought back with the Ron Zook recruits. It's just that Ron Zook was a very good head coach. The thing I will say about the Dan Mullen era is, hey, they will go and they will get up for those big games. I put this on coaching, man. There's too many other times they quit. They quit on them now. And think about this couple, was it last year that they lost in the bowl game to Oklahoma and they got blown out? I mean, you talk about somebody, well, a lot of those guys were going on. Well, then if you recruited so well, you should go and have some studs underneath there, people that actually want to play. I'll put that on coaching at some point in time. Well, we don't care about the bowl game. Well, guess what? That carried into this year. Okay, you played Alabama really close, so you only play those games that you care about, and these other games you just get blown out. And then at some point in time, you keep on losing games, and you don't have a damn job. So, I mean, I put that on. If you don't care, look, if you don't care, young player, I'm bringing in the next guy. And I don't disagree with you that Miami is a sinking ship. But that's the one thing that they've gone. And Manny Diaz has actually gotten some victories. Now that he's going to go, he's not going to be the next guy to have a level dominance at Miami. I don't think so. But he's gotten some victories because, hey, upperclassmen, but you don't want to play? Okay, I'm going to bring in this young guy. And, bring in people that actually want to play. So, but right now, I mean, Florida, it's also tough, man. Place like LSU, place like Florida, the standards are ridiculously high, and I understand why they are. But at some point in time, you better go ahead if you're coming in to coach and get that big contract because you're not going to be there for long.
Right?
Produce right the fuck away or see the door. The one thing I'll give you on Georgia, okay, and I don't want to get you fired up about Mark Richt, but he did have success. He didn't take it to that next level, okay. But brother, you gave him a shot. You gave him a shot for a while, and same thing of Kirby Smart. Now both those guys have produced more, and if they went on a skid like this, they probably get fired too. Okay. But I mean, and that's the thing in Ohio State, we try to make the right hire and then boom, you keep them for a while. You know what I mean? So, and that goes back to way after Woody Hayes, was let go, that they had Earl Bruce right after that. And they kept on, I think Earl Bruce was only there like 8 or 9 years. And they think he left, earlier than what he should have been fired. And they brought in John Cooper, our version of Mark Richt. He was there for 13 years and he went 2-11 against Michigan. I think 2-11-1 or something. Okay. So, and then he finally got fired. Well, I'm not saying you should be that patient, but Florida, if they don't have success in 2 or 3 years, they'll be looking for another coach again. Ain't no doubt. Same thing with LSU.
Hey, Sean, real quick, do you think the joke was going around is Florida the new Tennessee? Because I think they've had 4 coaches in 8 years. And then, real quick, who would you?
4 coaches in 8 years.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard. They're the new Tennessee. Tennessee's gone through a lot.
Muschamp was there from.
It was Muschamp, Swamp Donkey, Dan Mullen, and you got this one. I guess they're counting them as the 4th.
Maybe sort of. Like, to me, though, you're hard pressed outside of. I mean, name me, even though they've struggled since like 2008, which to me kind of says something. Like, name me a better, outside of Alabama, name me a better football program in the last 30 years than Florida.
Ohio State.
No. They still got more national titles than you have.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. Over the last 30 years?
Oh, I thought you said 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have 2.
Good. Hey, well, who would you focus on?
Even if you did the last 20 years, Scott, you're still not better.
But we've accomplished more. If you're only measuring by national titles, then we're equal, and we're much better than Georgia. But ready for this. If that's how you're measuring,
Georgia, you're not better than Mississippi State, Scott. I mean, just take the scarlet and gray glasses off. Yeah, actually, if you look at the last 20 years, you're definitely better. Like, I think if you stretch it 30 years or whatever, I mean, they got 3 national titles. 2 Heisman Trophy winners, I think.
Hey, what about these?
No. We have 2 Heisman. Well, hold on a second. Hold on.
Since like 2009.
I can't let you off. I can't let you off that easy. If you're measuring the only thing by national championships, then so be it. But Georgia football right now is sure as hell a lot better than Florida, and you haven't won a national championship since 1980.
Yeah.
And when's the last Georgia Heisman?
Like when he's talking about But when he's talking about Florida being the new Tennessee, I mean, I don't think my thing is I don't think the Tennessee program is that bad, or I don't think the Florida programs.
I guess it's just the whole coaching carousel is what they're talking about, moving coaches up.
Now here's
and
what
I guess
I'll say.
Part of where I was going with, like, when you look at the last 30 years, Florida's still been so dominant is the fact that just because of the talent resources right in their backyard, it's a program I think that's pretty easy to turn around if you've got the right coach and right recruiters there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, and I agree.
So,
I agree with all
to
of
me,
that.
I think that, like, the Tennessee thing, because you're going to have to recruit, you don't have a choice. You've got to recruit out of state at Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you've got to get a good hire and get the right hire there.
Right.
The other point that I was making there, Sean, is that if you don't go and you say, "Oh, we didn't get the right guy, let's go through it again. Oh, we didn't get the right guy, let's fire again." Now, I don't understand. You should take the Big Ten motto and be like, "Well, hey, Scott Frost has had he's 3-7. Let's bring him back another year." I mean, part of that's because they went ahead and they brought down his buyout from $20 million to something stupid. But so I'm not saying that you should be that patient, because if it don't work out next year and you don't fire him, then you're just stupid and you're accepting mediocrity forever. However, some of these other schools in the SEC are like, it didn't work out immediately, fire him. It didn't work out immediately, fire him. It didn't work out immediately, fire him. So, I mean, hey, look, Jim Harbaugh, based on what he's did, and then last year, you should have fired his ass, but you brought it back. You went ahead and brought down that, and you still have just one loss. Now, if you get blown out by Ohio State and you still don't have any meaningful victories at some point in time, if you had standards, and I'm not saying that Michigan does, that you should move on. I'm also just saying you see a lot of these schools in the SEC that they give up too fast. Now, Dan Mullen should have been fired, but then find the right damn hire. There's a guy that can actually stay there for 5 to 8 years or something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think that's, to me, it's kind of discounted quickly again. I know there was definitely issues with how he ran, the program, namely the recruiting aspect. The lack of depth is what killed him, and obviously, I think the inability to evaluate or to make a change from his DC, not getting rid of Grantham earlier, just absolutely killed him. He should have been gone last year. Why he wasn't astounds me, especially when you had Will Muschamp there to grab. I mean, you could have poached some of Georgia's assistants too. Not that I'm like, doing that, but it's not like it's hard to see where you can get good defensive talent and recruiters. So there's plenty of guys there. He just didn't do it. But at the same time, I don't think you should necessarily discount the fact that, when he got players, he won the East. I mean, that's not winning a division title, Big Ten, SEC. That's not an
Still
easy
big
feat
deal.
to do.
And he was just there last year. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that he was just there last year. Now, who do you really
bring in that can do something similar to that? I mean, they're talking about bringing in like a front runner to them. Apparently, it's Billy Napier, the Louisiana Raging Cajuns coach.
Who is right now? Who is the who do you think would be the front runner at Florida? You're saying it's the guy from Louisiana? Yeah,
I mean and this is according to the Florida mods on the boards that it's Billy Napier. Okay. I apparently also heard, interestingly, that apparently Florida actually went out to LA and talked with Chip Kelly, and then just after talking with him, they didn't really feel like they weren't getting the warm and fuzzies about that hire. I mean, to me, that's kind of an absurd move to make. I mean, I could understand doing that maybe 4 years ago before Chip Kelly came back and kind of stuck it up at UCLA. But
wait, hold on a second. They want to hire Chip Kelly? I'm sorry, are we in a fucking time machine? It's 2010 or something?
Well, apparently.
You're 10 years too late.
Well, right.
Yeah.
But apparently it's like Billy Napier. I don't get it. Like, to me, I don't think Billy Napier is necessarily the right hire either. But I think it comes down to because he was offensive coordinator at Clemson around 2009, 2010. I don't remember if Clemson's offense was particularly good then or not. Memory serves me correctly, it's kind of the time Dabo was struggling, so I don't really think they were great. And I think after that, he was then Saban's wide receivers coach at Alabama. The one thing he's done pretty well, though, is recruited. So,
yeah. I mean, it's right now what it is you have a lot of big programs out there, Florida, LSU, USC, that you should be able to dominate all those places, to your point, Sean, because of what's recruiting that's in your backyard. If you recruit within, the state of California, the Louisiana and the Southeast and the state of Florida, you should be able to go out your back door and find exactly who you need in your program. So it's just that you're going to run out at some point in time of good coaches. I don't think I like Luke Fickell just fine. I don't know where he's going to fit in best. Kirk Herbstreit keeps saying that Brian Kelly would be a good fit for USC, and then if he left, that then Luke Fickell would go to Notre Dame. He'd fit in well there. I don't see he ain't going to go to LSU or Florida, or if he did, I don't think he's going to be a good fit. And still, he's one of the best coaching candidates out there. Yeah, unless there's some other assistants that are coming up, or these other people that are coming from these smaller programs. But you look at some of the people that have come from Memphis when Memphis is good, and Justin Fuente got fired at Virginia Tech. Well, I got bad news for you, Virginia Tech. This ain't 1999, and you're going to be behind Florida and LSU and USC.
Yeah,
if for no other reason,
turkey mofos.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, because they're sure as hell going to pay you more money, and the SEC are out at USC. So, and those are bigger programs. It's just that at some point in time, you're going to run out of, good coaches. There's not enough good coaches out there to fill in these positions. Now we'll talk about here in a second with some of the playoffs and Oregon's big loss, plop, where they shit their pants. But I got no problem with Mario Cristobal. I can understand why he'd go back to Miami because he won some national titles in Miami. Of course, that job isn't open, yet. But he would probably be
there, right?
That's right. He would probably be a very good fit for that. And like I said, man, I got no problem with the guy.